Well, hello. I'm laughing because I honestly decided to click go live because I knew that I would be overly self-critical and then go back and overly edit this. And what I want is to just try and see what happens when I discuss the idea of what I'm considering as this project. Um, Unscripted, completely unscripted, and without the opportunity to edit. So we'll see what happens. Oh, well, I'm already noticing that I have this set up completely wrong. So here we go. So I have obviously I've made a bunch of videos so far since 2017 when I first decided that it was a good idea. Second, I can realize that I'm not looking at the camera properly, and that's bothering me, but whatever. I mean, this is what it is. Third, I made an explicit decision to do this in my messy room as is. I have woken up an hour ago. Here I am. Yeah, it's a little bit. Whatever. And I admit too that I'm not quite sure that I know, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I feel so driven? I don't want to name the pandemic as the starting place. This is a mistake to do this live because I do need to edit myself a lot. What I decided is that here I am. No, it's an odd one because I know I'm very aware of the fact that I don't have a following. No one particularly is begging to listen to me. And yet I feel like it's time to start practicing because I feel like I am one of the people who is ready to start speaking out about the dysfunctional society we live in. And I feel like I am lucky enough to have had a series of experiences that really qualify me to be one of the people who speaks out on our dysfunctional society in a way that is, God willing, the creeks don't rise, compassionate and sensitive and inspired by grace. And I decided to do this. What I decided is that I have a project called Underbelly Project, which began as a simple acknowledgement that we have these unlovable pieces in ourselves, we have these unlovable pieces in others, and we're never going to get anywhere unless we learn to love those things. It expanded into a series of projects, including a podcast called Wild and Precious Conversations and a weekly newsletter called 10 Wild and Precious Things, 10 Things. And I've made a couple courses and things. What I noticed is that I don't think it's appropriate for me to make that project Christian. I think it's accessible and doesn't need to fall under strict Christian framework. At the same time, who I am is Christian, and my Christianity informs pretty much everything. Well, it does inform every single thing I do. I would dare say every thought, every word, and every action. Either, it's informed and inspired by grace and by my Christian faith, or it's not, and then I'm extraordinarily aware of that and try to move forward from there. So I can say that, yeah. So what I decided is I would like to just see what happens when I try to speak freely on the Christian principles that underlie my decisions, for the things that I've decided on that project for the time being. I'll see where this goes. We'll see where it goes. I made a site a while back called Explicit Christian, and I decided on the wording because I thought, that's it. That's what informs my Christianity. It's explicit. Not only do I swear like a sailor occasionally, as did Jesus, in the sense that using vulgar, not profane, but vulgar language, there's no, in my opinion, I won't do it on this, I know it offends a lot of people. And I don't like offending people, but I'm of the conviction that there's nothing wrong with calling, well, I will swear, calling shit, you know? Uh, I think it's important, in fact. And there's a difference, in my opinion, between using the Lord's name in vain and using vulgar language. I think vulgar language can be not only effective, but it's use the correct word. I think it's important to use the right word. Sometimes it's fun to use euphemisms and flirt with that stuff, but fuck, so I am going to swear. Okay, well, that's where we're going to go with this. When you see shit, if you try to call it something flowery, you're lying. And so yeah, explicit. And also, I'm explicitly Christian. Let's see. And I think it's important. I think we need more people to stand up for both a Christianity that is inspired by mysticism, as mine is absolutely, and also my Christianity deeply believes that the Bible is a book of wisdom. I'm open to the consideration. I'm open to the idea that it's very possible that certain books that aren't considered part of sort of that canon should be, and that possibly I believe it's possible that certain verses were inserted at later date. I have lots of views on this, but bottom line, I believe that the Bible, Old and New Testaments, it's a book of wisdom. And because of that, I think it's a sacred book. And I definitely hold to the Bible. I'm a Bible believing Christian. I'm stuttering because it feels like a loaded phrase in this day and age. And fairly so. I think two major things happen. I'm no scholar, not by any means. But what I think ended up happening is that on the one hand, you had people who acknowledged it was the sacred wisdom book, and then became really weirded out about it and wouldn't let anybody even read it except in Latin, which makes no sense because it was written in other languages: Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Coptic, written in that Egyptian Greek lettering, whatever. I don't know. And so it became inaccessible to people. And then there was this great pushback of like, hey, Jesus, this is our book. Let's make it accessible. And in that regard, it became potentially debased. Yeah, I'm going to say it. It became debased. And sort of everybody had a Bible and they're just like flipping through it, barely literate, reading a verse out of context and deciding to base their entire faith on it. And that I also think is extraordinarily, well, I think that's dangerous. In fact, I don't know which is more dangerous. They're both dangerous. Christianity is, by nature, if you follow Jesus, you're a person who believes that we all have access to this wisdom. We all should have access to the words Jesus spoke, etc. So, but at the same time, doing it in an uninformed way, ad hoc, without really considering, without understanding that the Bible itself is a sacred document, I think is wrong. So that's that. I don't know why I needed to say that. The reason I decided to do this morning, the reason I decided to do this morning is because I watched a video, an interview with Russell Brand interviewing Gabor Mate. It was from July 28th, 2019. And I was just floored. As my understanding is that Gabor Mate, I don't know what his spiritual leanings are. And I know that Russell Brand is noticing and acknowledging, from what I understand, the importance of spirituality, the importance, dare I say, of faith in our lives. Gabor Mate brought out the importance of grace. And man, it struck me. Grace has a lot of special meanings to me. A lot of really special meanings to me. I don't know if I want to. Back from the days when I was at Theta at Santa Barbara, there's a special meaning there. And anyway, whatever. It's a very deeply special word to me. What I found really fascinating, and what I wrote about in the members only newsletter for the Underbelly Project this morning, was just the necessity of grace, the essentialism of grace when moving from humiliation to humility. And what struck me this morning as I was listening to the interview with Gabor Mate was the idea that we need grace to bring us from a place of humiliation to a place of humility. That's my words. That's an interpretation of what he said. And the idea that in a dysfunctional society, he didn't say this either. This is an interpretation of mine. In our dysfunctional society, where we need to, what is required by society is a continual external fix that will alleviate our internal suffering instead of being led by grace to inner peace. He said something that struck me deeply. He said, for this society to function, we have to separate the soul from the body, because we wouldn't treat people the way we do if they had souls. And I think I'd like to say explicitly now, and I will, you know what, my faith is Christian faith. I'm not saying, I don't want to get into an argument about which religion one uses to reach God. But we need a faith, not just, and this I am explicit about, not just spirituality. Obviously, there's a spiritual element to the world. What I said once to a dear friend of mine who's a shaman, and I deeply respect this woman, deeply respect her. But, she said, she was asking me how can you be Christian? How can you be Christian when you know that there's all this spirituality in the world? And I replied, that's explicitly why I'm Christian, and again, or I'm not saying you can't, there's not other ways to reach God, but that's why I'm Christian, because I know that there's a spiritual world, and I'm going to align with the creator, right? The creator of the universe, rather than try to play around with spirituality in an uninformed way. So that's just what I'm saying. But what Gabor Mate said, okay, so I am live. So why do we need a faith? I'm not sure. This is why I'm not sure if I should be live. but in replying to Gabor Mate's quote, for this society to function, we have to separate the soul from the body, because we wouldn't treat people the way we do if we believed they had souls. The reason I feel like it's important to have a faith, and I believe that my definition of faith is hope plus confidence. I think that we need to stack the decks. We need to have that confidence, and we need to align ourselves with, I'm going to say, the Creator, so that we can gain grace, so that we can treat people as if they had souls, because they do. And that's just my response. That interview, again, the interview with between Russell Brand and Gabor Mate from July 8th, 2019, has impacted me deeply. And I believe strongly that this introduction of the idea of the necessity, the essentialism of grace, required me to say something. It's not hope or confidence. It's hope plus confidence. And to me, that's a really intensely important factor. And again, yeah, I would just push back and say, I don't know. I mean, what my life has led me to, through a combination of mysticism and essentialism, I would say, I don't know if that's the right usage of the word, is that when I contemplate deeply on the idea of confidence plus hope, not or, confidence plus hope, I am led essentially to the Creator. And that may be something that there is room for disagreement on, and I'm not sure. To my mind, it's essential to have that hope plus confidence leading to a single Creator of the universe, who is the author and perfecter of the laws of the universe. And that's a big one. And that's what I've been led to. Exactly. I would just say, oh, shoot. And this is why, okay, the live is great. And I will just move on, that I will talk about it later at another time. To me, hope plus confidence has led me in contemplation, in deep prayer. Absolutely. I'm speaking just on my own. So hope plus confidence has led me, and not other people potentially, has led me to that standing faith plus confidence in the Creator. But I'll speak on that later. This, though, I thought was important to absolutely, people can have lots of different ideas of what faith is. My definition is hope plus confidence, and it leads me exactly to faith in the Creator. But that's just it. I think that's potentially, I wonder, and maybe I'll end with this. What I thought was interesting is that both Russell Brand and Gabor Mate acknowledge the essential need for grace in our society, and the essential need to see people as entities, biological entities with souls. And to my mind, I think it might be the next step then is, if you say grace is essential, well, where does grace come from? And I would like to consider, and it's a consideration, that without faith, and without faith in a Creator, I'm trying not to use the word higher power, but I'd be okay open to that. But without faith in the creator, it's very difficult, I would say impossible, to have true grace. And without true grace, we really can't have a functional society. And that's kind of what I thought I'd put out there as an introduction to this idea that I am coming up with that I would like to continue. And we'll see where it goes. And so that is the idea of explicit Christian and the idea that we really do need to start talking about human beings. Oh, these are such good questions. We really do need to start talking about these things: grace, faith, the creator or a creator, or those big ideas, if we want to move to a functional society. And I'll just completely end with this. I think I know explicitly why I think this is so important right now. My life has been rendered topsy-turvy, as have many of ours. And I suddenly realized, as a mom, I am a mom of 4 people, happily married as well, which is insane in this world, trying to create, for lack of a better word, it might be the wrong word, trying to create a functional family in a dysfunctional world has been almost impossible for me. And I've been at it now for about 24 years, 25 years. So I feel like it's time to kind of just say that outright and say that I believe part of what's wrong with that, part of the reason that that's so difficult, is this dysfunctional society that we each are trying to make a living in. We're trying to live in this dysfunctional society. As Gabor Mate said, for this society to function, we have to separate the soul from the body, because we wouldn't treat people the way we do if we believed they had souls. So this is lovely. I'm so happy. I really didn't think there'd be one. I'm so glad. Thank you for one viewer. I just decided, as you'll see in the beginning, I just decided, hell, I'm just going to make this a live thing so that I don't worry about over editing and over worrying about what I'm going to say. But that was my main message. That's what I think I'm going to do with this. And I appreciate your comments. I also think it's important for me to address exactly what I mean by grace, because it's probably one of the most important words to me at another time. Yeah, I did it. So good. Good morning. This is me when I first wake up. This might be a fun thing to do almost daily. Why not? Thank you so much.